Hello and welcome back to Fire Emblem, The Last Promise, 0% growth, slow turn count playthrough, version 2. This video will be tackling chapter 4. This chapter, so far, is the chapter that is the most consistent with the previous versions. What that means is that we aggressively push forward into the fog of war with all of our units. This chapter is kill boss, and the boss is pretty much only able to be killed by Siegfried. So what that means is we push forward to recruit a new unit, who I will talk about when he becomes relevant, and do our best to keep all of our units that we left behind alive and trained. Most of these nomads, due to the 3x effectiveness, are able to be picked off in a single hit by Sean, which is really nice. A couple of them are slow enough, with the reset that we did, to be one-rounded by Corbin with the Emblem Lance. They have to roll down to 2 speed and be holding a steel bow to be killed that way. But it is possible. You can already see that a lot of our units' combat is kind of pathetic. Hilariously, Siegfried is able to one-shot Myrmidons with his personal weapon because they're just that frail. He uses personal equipped rather than a javelin just because there's no real reason to kill some of the enemies that happen, and we're able to use the enemies that show up and don't get one-rounded as a way to feed them to Sean. There's an armory on this chapter that we don't visit. We would like to visit in order to be able to sell the red gem that Shooter joins with, but money doesn't particularly matter in Siegfried mode. We recruit Kevin here. Kevin is the single most overrated unit in this game, and I will stand by that. In a 0% growth setting, he is decently useful for having access to javelins, decent strength, and his availability early on in Anakin mode is just fine enough. However, due to having 4 base speed, he is unable to double enemies that have 1 base speed, which includes some early enemies in Anakin mode, which is really annoying. Sean hits me ring swords here. We were able to canto through Kevin after recruiting him, which at the very least is cute. Kevin does not need to hit Ada a single time, but him hitting her and weakening her means that we're able to have a slightly easier time killing her. Ada has a short bow. One change that was done in TLP is that the short bow is now a 1-2 range weapon. This was the first hack that really popularized that. While I'm not a massive fan of that being a thing, it's at the very least useful for us when we get our hands on one with a competent bow-using unit. You can tell by us weakening enemies and killing them that we're trying our best to end up feeding more experience to Sean. By getting some chip, he's able to hit level 8 in Chapter 4. Thankfully, because Kevin is able to land all 3 of his attacks against Ada, we are able to just, instead of having to rig a crit against her, just smack her with Siegfried. The main reason that he attacked her was primarily to improve the reliability of that. Rather than having to get a 10% crit, we just have to hit her 3 times with Kevin, which is around 56% chance displayed hit, I believe. Which isn't super likely, but it's not super unlikely either. With this regular smack, Ada drops. And we have cleared Chapter 4 in 4 turns. We get yet another droppable elixir. We are showered in these in the game. Up next is Chapter 5. Chapter 5 has a couple of things about it, including probably the turn save that I am the most embarrassed about not finding. This chapter also has the first guidance requirement. Briefly, on screen, there was a room that appeared with a shaman in it. Once we enter that room, we pick up a talisman and we access the Gaiden chapter. It's a really, really weird and really stupid requirement to unlock it, but hey, it works. On turn 1, our main goal is to keep the starting area as safe as possible. So we have all of our units, including our new unit, Arthur, work together to secure the starting area. Arthur is a monk with decent bulk, and while in the old playthrough, the first playthrough, I thought that having him move forward and gain experience would actually be something that was useful. As it turns out, having a level 1 monk with pretty abysmal stats at this point in the game that will rejoin really late into Anakin mode and have even worse stats at that point, overrides the usefulness of having C-rank stabs. This is an FE7, where Lucius is able to somewhat train himself and contribute decently well in 0% growths. This is TLP, where enemies actually have stats. As a result, Arthur's training, and all the experience he used to get, are completely dumpstered. He still does some things, but they're primarily just because nobody else can do them. I had to spend 2 turns in the past guarding the entrance and making sure that everyone is safe. As it turns out, though, all I need to do is just stagger 2 units to secure the entrance, and then it's completely fine. This is really embarrassing, but by staggering 2 units, we're able to reduce the amount of times that both of Kevin and Arthur are able to be attacked, and as a result, neither of them is able to die in a single turn. That one use of a javelin that I mentioned being wasted before is slightly annoying here. At one point, Siegfried breaks a javelin, and that means that he doesn't one-round an enemy. However, that also gets remedied by the fact that he misses an enemy. So there's no real winning solution here. He just uses a javelin because it's the best way to one-round all the mages that come his way. There are a couple of chests in this chapter. The only one that we really care about has a Lance Reaper. There's one that has a Draco Shield as well, and it's the first stat booster we can end up picking up. We don't pick it up. If we were to pick it up, it'd probably end up going on Judah. We need to kill this shaman over the wall, for the safety of the unit that opens that, and just because it's convenient. The shaman on the right has to be baited to a specific space, so he can later be killed. Rather be killed on a specific spot, so we're able to take his chest key that he drops and use it the turn we grab it. We only have the ability to dedicate 2 units to the right side, and those end up being Yanan and Corbin because they have nothing else better to do. We open the door with Siegfried and press into the throne room with him after equipping a javelin and healing him with Miko. We also have Sean take a vulnerary instead and use it instead of an elixir. He's not going to get attacked, but he's going to need the extra health later on. Siegfried needs to one-round a vast majority of enemies that attack him, and he needs to dodge at least one of them at some point in the next 2 turns. His survival's pretty good throughout the enemy phases that he faces, but he does end up using the vulnerary and needing to dodge 1 of 2 enemies next turn, because I just wanted to save an elixir use. He dodges, of all things, the light magic user, also known as the most accurate attacker there. I don't get it. With Inanna moving there as well, she baits the longbow nomad, which pretty much makes him useless. We give the Emblements to Sean because he barely is able to use it to pick off that unit on. Which is good because it gives him a little bit more experience, and it means that his path is going to be clear because, as I'm sure you noticed, the boss is a nomad, meaning that the boss is mounted, which means that Sean has effective damage against him. And considering Sean is primarily only getting decent experience from killing bosses at this point, yeah. If we just use an elixir with Siegfried instead, which he could easily have at this point, he started the chapter with one, we wouldn't have to rig this dodge, but rigging this dodge is just convenient because it means I can be a little bit greedier and save the elixir. He needs to dodge 1 of 3 attacks that go his way, and he has slightly more evasion than Sean, so giving him the vulnerary means that he's able to much more easily survive this enemy phase by baiting the attacks away from Sean. In theory, you could also have low percent crit the boss. He wouldn't have killed, I'm pretty sure, but he could have done it. We see a group of nomads reinforce us. They're not going to end up mattering, but hey. You get the talisman with Shooter by waiting in this room, which also unlocks the guiding for us, as I mentioned. We give Corbin a javelin back, so he's able to use it in Chapter 5X. He needs to. And then we baited the shaman over sort of to kill it with the javelin, so we can take the chest key from Liana and open this chest specifically. The other chest just contains money. This chest gives us a Lance Reaver. We have 3 units able to use that, and it's very, very important, just for the sake of grinding up the sword rank of shooting, specifically. Also, miraculously, the RN string lined up so that Sean is able to piercing sword crit the boss, Majaharan, immediately, which is, at the very least, very convenient. He just killed the boss and didn't get a full level off of it. How far he's come. Thank you for watching. This was Chapter 5 completed in 5 turns, which is a 3-turn save compared to the previous run. I'll see you next time for Chapter 5X, the first defend map of the run.